In this video, we'll explore ethnic relations, how different communities in Sri Lanka have lived together, shared power, and sometimes struggled to understand each other. Diversity. Diversity means the presence of differences within a group. These differences can be in culture, language, religion, ethnicity, traditions, or even ways of thinking. Unity. Unity means being together as one, even if people have different backgrounds, beliefs, or ideas. It is the feeling of belonging, cooperation, and shared purpose among individuals or groups. Sri Lanka's ethnic mix. Sri Lanka is a beautiful example of a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. The majority are Sinhalese, about 75% of the population, Tamils make up 18%, Muslims 7%, and Burghers a small but important group. Each group brings its own customs, religions, languages, and festivals, all part of our national identity. The Sinhalese community. The Sinhalese are the largest group in Sri Lanka. They trace their roots to North Indian settlers and speak Sinhala. Most Sinhalese are Buddhists, especially the Kandyan and Low-Country groups. Over the years, some converted to Christianity under colonial influence. Today, Sinhalese culture is deeply connected with Sri Lanka's history and traditions. The Tamil community. Tamils have a long history in Sri Lanka, tracing back to ancient South Asia. They speak Tamil and mostly follow Hinduism. Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils share language and culture but have different origins. Their heritage includes rich art, temple architecture, and classical dance. The Muslim community. Muslims make up about 7% of the population. Most are Sri Lankan Moors, but others include Indian Moors, Malays, and Maimans. They speak Tamil, Sinhala, or even Malay, and follow Islamic traditions. Their identity is shaped by trade, migration, and strong cultural roots. The Burgher community. Burghers are descendants of European colonial settlers, especially the Dutch and Portuguese. They embraced Western lifestyles, language, and education. Although small in number today, Burghers played a big role in law, music, and English education. Many have emigrated, but their cultural influence remains in Sri Lankan society. How ethnic groups interact. Ethnic groups in Sri Lanka are not spread evenly. Tamils are the majority in the north, Muslims in the east, Burghers in Colombo. Over time, colonial history, language policies, and religion shaped ethnic identities. Despite challenges, these groups contribute to the beauty and richness of Sri Lanka. Ancient Sri Lanka. A brief history. Sri Lanka's civilization dates back over 2,500 years. Early Sinhalese settled near rivers like Mahaweli and built kingdoms like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa. Over time, Indian invasions and Tamil monarchs challenged Sinhala kings, leading to wars and cultural fusion. Despite conflicts, rulers like Parakramabahu brought art, irrigation, and stability. Colonial divide and ethnic conflict. Under British rule, Tamils gained access to English education and jobs. The Sinhalese felt left behind, causing tension. After independence, language laws and citizenship issues deepened divisions. Years of ethnic conflict followed, from the 1983 war to the 2009 peace. Colonial social impact in Sri Lanka. Portuguese influence on society. By 1505, the Portuguese arrived in Sri Lanka, then known as Serendib. The Sinhalese described them as pale-skinned, wearing iron hats and boots. Strange and powerful, they brought not only trade, but deep social and cultural changes. Portuguese surnames were adopted by many locals, and nearly 1,000 Portuguese words entered Sinhala. They also introduced musical instruments like the guitar and ukulele, as well as European ballads. Dutch and Roman Dutch legal impact. The Dutch followed the Portuguese and introduced Roman Dutch law. Still influential in Sri Lanka today, they left behind Dutch architecture like the Dutch Hospital in Colombo and other colonial landmarks. The Dutch period strengthened administration, trade, and Christian influence. British arrival and Kandyan Convention. The British arrived in the 1700s, aiming to remove the Dutch from power. In 1815, the Kandyan Convention officially gave them control over the island. With this came a new system of governance, taxation, and socio-economic transformation. King Sri Vikrama Rajasinya was dethroned, and British governors took over administration. British economic transformations, plantations, comma. The British replaced the Rajakarya system with a new tax based on land produce. They launched coffee, cotton, and later tea and rubber plantations. Indian Tamils were brought as laborers. Entire families came and preserved their culture in Sri Lanka. Tea soon became the nation's most powerful export product. Land ordinances and British land seizure. British laws like the Crown Lands Encroachment Ordinance took land from local farmers and gave it to plantation owners. By 1842, over 127,000 acres had been seized. This drastically changed traditional land use and reduced livestock in Kandyan areas. British-era education system. Education was used as a tool of control. The Dutch had church-based schools, but the British expanded English education through missionary and government schools. Schools in Colombo, Jaffna, Gal, and Kandy shaped a new elite class. However, it also created a gap between English-educated and local language populations. Ceylonese society under colonialism. Ceylonese society became a mix of ethnicities, castes, and religions. The Low Country Sinhalese, Kandians, Ceylon Tamils, Indian Tamils, Burghers, and Malays all lived in unique social systems. Missionary work weakened Buddhism and Hinduism, while Christianity gained power. Imported laborers often remained separate due to caste, language, and cultural identity. Rise of the elite and social change. Education created a new elite, leaders who shaped Sri Lanka's future. People like D.S. Bandaranak and Ponnambalam Arunachalam became symbols of national progress. Traditional castes began shifting as more opportunities opened up for the middle class. This set the foundation for political movements and independence. Lasting British influence. Even today, we see British influence in Sri Lanka's trains, buildings, legal system, and export economy. Tea, introduced by the British, remains a major export. School uniforms, exams, and railways are all legacies of colonial rule, but Sri Lanka's culture remains strong, blending its heritage with colonial history. Ethnic group relations and caste. Ethnic groups often lived in separate towns or villages. Businesses and communities reflected their languages and traditions. Among Sinhalese, castes like Goyagama, Karava, and Salagama played different roles. Among Tamils, the Valala, Brahmins, and Chetty had cultural and religious influence. These caste systems shaped daily life, marriage, work, and religious duties. Sri Lanka's economic evolution. Pre-independence economy. Before independence, Sri Lanka's economy relied mainly on rice cultivation and the export of spices like cinnamon. During colonial rule, coffee became a major crop, until a leaf disease hit in the 1870s. Tea, rubber, and coconut quickly took over as dominant exports, especially during British rule. A dual system emerged. Rural farmers grew food crops, while plantations focused on cash crops. Labor and trade under colonial rule. Plantation labor mostly came from South India. Locals were hired for casual work, but land and profit stayed with colonial powers. 90% of Sri Lanka's exports, like tea and rubber, were sent to Britain. In return, we imported food, drinks, raw materials, and luxury goods. Post-independence planning and growth. After independence, Sri Lanka began plan development. A 10-year plan was launched in 1959, followed by shorter 5-year plans. These focused on agriculture, especially rice, and aimed for food self-sufficiency. Large projects like the Mahaweli irrigation scheme opened new land for cultivation. Agricultural transformation. Agriculture employed over 40% of the labor force in the 1980s. With irrigation and resettlement, rice production grew rapidly. New crops like onions, chilies, pepper, and cardamom were introduced. Government helped farmers with credit, guaranteed prices, and loans. Plantation and crop trends. Tea output declined in the 1970s due to aging bushes and poor replanting. Coconuts suffered from droughts but rebounded strongly in the mid-80s. Rubber also declined but stayed important for exports. These crops still shaped the rural economy. Manufacturing and industrial policies. Manufacturing dropped from 21% to 15% of GDP between 1977 and 1986. But the 1980s saw a boom in textiles and export zones like Katuniake and Bayagama. New factories processed rubber, coconut, and other exports. State corporations handled big industries, from oil to steel. Labor laws and worker welfare. In the 1940s and 50s, laws protected workers in plantations, factories, and shops. Wage boards regulated salaries and sick leave. Maternity laws gave working women 8 weeks paid leave. The Provident Fund, started in 1958, secured workers' future. Federal constitution and political consensus in Sri Lanka. What is a constitution? A constitution is the backbone of a nation. It outlines the principles of the state, how government functions, and the rights of citizens. It can't be changed easily. It holds more power than ordinary laws. It defines political structure, ensures representation, and protects human rights. It's binding on everyone, even lawmakers, and is rooted in public trust. Functions of a constitution. A constitution does more than create laws. It defines who we are as a nation, our identity, our values, and our duties. It sets boundaries of power, establishes institutions, and outlines citizen rights. It can even declare religious identity and the relationship between state and faith. Colonial reforms, Colebrook-Cameron. In the 1830s, the Colebrook-Cameron Commission introduced key reforms. It unified Sri Lanka's administration, promoted equality before law, and abolished ancient systems like Rajakarya. A legislative and executive council were created, but voting rights were restricted to wealthy, educated men. Less than 3,000 could vote. Manning constitutional reforms. The 1920 Manning reforms restructured the Legislative Council with 37 members, 14 officials and 23 unofficial. For the first time, unofficial members held a majority, and a territorial voting system was introduced. However, power remained limited. Officials and nominated members often sided with the governor. Voting rights expanded slightly, but only about 4% of people could vote. Based on education and wealth, women were still excluded. Despite meeting qualifications, the governor retained full control over administration. Donomore Commission. The Donomore Commission, appointed in 1927, found that under the then constitutional system. In 1931 there were approximately 12% Ceylonese Tamils, 12% Indian Tamils, 65% Sinhalese, and 3% Ceylon Moors. The Donomore Constitution removed communal electorates, upsetting minority groups like the Tamils, who boycotted the first election. It introduced universal adult franchise with only a residence requirement, a major step forward. A new state council was formed, combining legislative and executive powers. It had 7 executive committees, each with its own chairman. These chairmen, along with top officials, formed the Board of Ministers. Although the constitution lasted until 1946, it faced continuous criticism from the Ceylonese. Soulbury Commission and Independence, 1944 to 1948. The Soulbury Commission in 1944 laid the foundation for Sri Lanka's independence. A bicameral system was introduced. The House of Representatives and the Senate, full control of domestic matters was granted, except for foreign affairs and defense. In 1947, the first election was held. In 1948, Ceylon became independent. Independence of Ceylon.
On a goodwill visit to Ceylon, the cruiser Norfolk joins in the Crown Colony's independence celebrations. Like its harbour, Colombo streets are dressed up to mark this great day. For the island's 6.5 million population, it's a public holiday. Belying the air of festivity are the crowd's solemn faces, expectant but not overexcited. Ceylon is taking independence quietly. But soon, all eyes are turned to the decorated Pandal archway, through which the car carrying the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester is driven to the Assembly Hall. Wearing the sash of the Garter, the Duke takes the salute. Around him are gathered the people who will form Ceylon's first government. From a raised dais, the Duchess watches the Duke, accompanied by the Prime Minister and the Governor-General, raise the flag of the new Dominion. After 146 years of British rule, Ceylon joins the British Commonwealth of Nations as an independent member.
Colombo, the capital of Ceylon, was in festive mood on Parliament opening day. The cruiser Norfolk was there for the celebrations marking Ceylon's new freedom. What these small boys were celebrating, I'm not quite so sure, but one thing is certain, that the streets of Colombo were packed with people drawn from every walk of life, waiting to see the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester arrive. There was an impressive arch of welcome, made largely of coconuts, and the occasion was clearly one of the biggest in Ceylon's history. Arriving at the specially built Assembly Hall, the Duke and Duchess, after inspecting the Guard of Honour, entered for the ceremony. The big moment was when His Royal Highness read the speech from the throne on behalf of his brother, the King. The first session of the first Parliament of the New Dominion was royally opened. and afterwards, accompanied by the Governor-General and the Prime Minister, Mr. Senanayake, the Duke proceeded to the flagstaff. Here the Premier hoisted Ceylon's own lion flag. The Crown Colony was now a responsible, independent member of the British Commonwealth of Nations.
Politics after independence. After independence, new laws marginalized Indian Tamils. The Federal Party emerged in 1949 to represent Tamil rights. The UNP and SLFP dominated national politics, with leaders like DS Senanayake and SWRD Bandaranak shaping the country's direction. Sri Lanka Freedom Party and United National Party. Key political parties. The UNP focused on a Western, capitalist system. The SLFP, under Bandaranak, promoted Sinhala nationalism and Buddhist revival. The Federal Party fought for Tamil autonomy, language equality, and regional rights. In 1972, the Tamil United Liberation Front, TULF, emerged as a united Tamil political front. 1972 Constitution. The 1972 Constitution marked a major change. Sinhala was made the official language, Buddhism the state religion, and Parliament the supreme power. The Senate was abolished, though it claimed to promote sovereignty. It reduced university autonomy and intensified communal divisions.
When our country became independent, naturally the question arose of national language superseding English as the official language of the country. Sinhalese we decided upon as the official language because 70% of the people of Ceylon are Sinhalese.
1978 Constitution. In 1978, a new constitution introduced an executive presidency, giving vast powers to the president. The president could dismiss the PM, dissolve parliament, and wasn't easily challenged in court. It introduced proportional representation but led to stronger party control. Critics say it pushed Sri Lanka toward authoritarianism. Electoral performance highlights. Between 1952 and 1977, the UNP and SLFP alternated power. The 1977 election was a landslide. The UNP won 140 seats. SLFP dropped to just 8. Smaller parties like the TULF gained momentum as ethnic politics intensified. Religious diversity, national governance and social roles in Sri Lanka. Understanding religion and diversity. Religion is powerful. It shapes societies, identities, and politics, but even scholars like Durkheim and Arthur Griel admit, there's no universal definition. In Sri Lanka, religion is deeply connected to ethnicity, creating a unique ethno-religious mix. Buddhism, protected by the constitution, is practiced by over 70% of the population, yet Sri Lanka is home to Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and many other religious minorities. Religion in politics and history. Buddhism came to Sri Lanka in 247 BC via Emperor Asoka. Over centuries, it absorbed Hindu deities like Vishnu and Kataragama. Christianity arrived with the Portuguese in 1505, later shaped by Dutch and British missions. Islam came via Arab traders in the 8th century and remains deeply rooted in coastal towns. Today, religious identity strongly influences political attitudes and social life. National government system. Sri Lanka is a unitary state with 3 levels: national, provincial, and local. The president is both head of state and government. The parliament has 225 members, 29 of them are selected through proportional representation. Provincial councils were formed through the 13th Amendment. Local government includes 24 municipal councils, 41 urban councils, and 276 Pradesh Sabhas. Society and ethnic divisions. Under British colonial rule, ethnic, caste, and language differences deepened. Sinhalese and Tamil groups began to view each other with distrust. Movements like Sinhala-only policy and Tamil cultural revival hardened divisions. Sinhalese pride in Aryan Buddhist identity grew. Valala Tamils in Jaffna emphasized caste, chastity, and Hindu rituals. Role of NGOs in society. NGOs have shaped Sri Lankan society since colonial times. Groups like the YMBA, Mahabodhi Society, and Women's Education Society emerged early. In 1998, laws were introduced to regulate NGO transparency and prevent misuse of funds. Many NGOs work on education, social welfare, and disaster relief. Trusts, co-ops, and religious charities also serve grassroots needs. UNDP and ADB in reconciliation. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, launched the HANA promoting reconciliation. It helps with justice, conflict prevention, and climate-smart policy. Meanwhile, the Asian Development Bank, ADB, partners with CSOs for sustainable development. Projects like the Jaffna water supply aim to rebuild trust and access. These global efforts support peace and harmony in Sri Lanka. So, in this video, we explored how religion, ethnicity, and governance shape Sri Lankan society. We saw both the beauty of our diversity and the challenges it can bring, from history to politics, and from conflict to peace building. These issues affect us all. In the end, it's unity in diversity that will shape our future, and it starts with understanding each other.